It was one of those perfect afternoons in June, the kind where the sun wrapped everything in gold, and the air felt soft on your skin. Cars rolled slowly down the streets of West Dale Heights, an upscale neighborhood in Los Angeles, known for its pristine sidewalks and boutique cafes. Inside a bright, airy ice cream shop called Sugar Nest, the air smelled like fresh waffle cones and strawberry syrup. Children giggled as they balanced melting scoops on colorful cones. Sitting by the window was a young black woman named Nia Thompson, and across from her sat her 6-year-old daughter, Luna, a little girl with curly brown hair, warm hazel eyes, and a smile that could make a stranger melt. They were sharing a bowl of cookie dough ice cream, one spoon, lots of laughter. "Mommy, yours is dripping," Luna squealed, reaching over to catch a falling drop with her spoon. Nia laughed and wiped her daughter's chin. "That's the fun part," she smiled. To anyone watching closely, it was a picture of love, pure, real, and unfiltered. Then the door chimed. Two uniformed police officers stepped into the cafe. One was tall and stone-faced, the other younger and visibly unsure. The taller one scanned the room, then made eye contact with Nia. They walked straight toward her. "Mom?" the taller officer said firmly. "Please step away from the child." Nia blinked. "I'm sorry." "What?" she asked, still half smiling, thinking it must be a mistake. "We've received a report," the officer replied, "of a possible child abduction. We need to verify your relationship with the child." Luna looked up, her tiny eyebrows furrowed. "Mommy, what's happening?" The cafe went silent. People turned. Phones were pulled out. A camera clicked here, a whisper there. And in the corner, behind oversized sunglasses and red lipstick, sat a white woman in a designer blazer. She sipped her coffee and watched. Her smirk was small but smug. Nia's heart raced, but her voice stayed calm. "She's my daughter," she said, her hand gently placed on Luna's shoulder. "What is this about?" The second officer spoke. This time, a woman inside the cafe made a call, said the child looked frightened and out of place. Nia felt it before he said it. They didn't believe she was Luna's mother. She looked at her daughter, then back at the officers. "So, because I'm black and my daughter is lighter-skinned, you assume I took her?" The officers shifted uncomfortably. "It's just protocol, ma'am," the younger one mumbled. "We have to follow up on any tip." Nia reached into her purse. She handed over her driver's license, then pulled out Luna's school ID from her wallet. She always carried it just in case. It had come in handy more times than she wanted to admit. "Here," she said, holding them out. "My name is Nia Thompson. This is Luna Thompson. You can call her school, or the pediatrician, or our church." The officers glanced at the cards, but the taller one still looked uncertain. In the background, the woman who had made the call spoke up. "I was just trying to be a good citizen. You hear about trafficking all the time." The child didn't look comfortable. Nia turned her head slowly, locking eyes with the woman. Luna, sensing the shift, tugged at her mother's sleeve. "Mommy, can I sit on your lap?" Nia knelt beside her daughter. "Just wait, baby. The officers need to talk to Mommy for a minute." "Okay." The taller officer stepped back, whispering something into his radio. The words verification, unit, and backup requested hung in the air. Nia closed her eyes briefly, breathed in deeply. This wasn't the first time. She remembered the look the receptionist gave her when she took Luna to the doctor and was asked if she was the nanny, or the questions at the airport when they returned from visiting her family in New York, or that time at the school play when another parent asked, "Oh, are you watching her for someone?" It chipped away, slowly, quietly, but deeply. She stayed calm for Luna. Then she did what she had to. She called her husband. Julian Thompson was a name most people in LA tech circles knew. Founder of two wellness apps, keynote speaker, and more. Importantly to Nia, fiercely loving husband and father. "Hey," she said softly into the phone. "They think I kidnapped our daughter." There was silence on the other end. Then Julian said, "I'm on my way." 10 minutes. As she hung up, the officers were still murmuring, still verifying, still holding on to the idea that something wasn't right simply because of how Nia and Luna looked together. The woman in sunglasses crossed her legs. "It's better to be safe than sorry," she said to no one in particular. Nia stood up, walked slowly over to her table, and looked the woman straight in the face. "What exactly made you think I wasn't her mother?" she asked, calm but clear. Woman flinched. "Well, you didn't look like her mother, because she's light-skinned." The woman opened her mouth, closed it, sipped her coffee. The room was tense, but Nia was done hiding. "Your fear," she said quietly, "does not give you the right to disrespect my family." Luna watched quietly, unsure of what all the fuss meant. "Why is that lady mad at us?" she asked. Nia smiled at her daughter. "Heartbreaking. Some people just make mistakes," she said softly. "But we know the truth, don't we?" Luna nodded. "You're my mommy." The bell above the cafe door rang again. This time, the energy shifted. In walked Julian. Tall, sharp suit, confident stride. The room almost seemed to make space for him as he walked straight to Nia and Luna. He saw the officers. "What the hell is going on?" he asked, eyes narrowed. "Sir," one of them began, "we were responding to—" "No," Julian cut in. "Why are my wife and daughter being questioned while eating ice cream?" Nia stepped beside him. Luna ran into his arms. "They wouldn't let me sit with mommy," she whispered into his ear. Julian turned to the officers, his voice cold. "You separated a 6-year-old from her mother over what?" "A woman's assumption." He scanned the cafe. "Where is she?" But the caller had already left, vanished like a coward into the crowd. Julian took a step forward. "Do you know who my wife is?" he asked. "Dr. Nia Thompson, Harvard graduate, pediatric psychologist, author, director of child wellness at Westdale Medical." The officers looked unsure. One scribbled into a notepad. The other rubbed his forehead. Julian wasn't finished. "And you're treating her like a criminal because someone decided her family didn't look right. Is that how we operate now?" Nia reached for her daughter, pulled her close. "Let's sit down, sweetheart," she said softly. As she did, her hands trembled, not from fear, but from the quiet fury of a mother forced again to prove her right to exist in peace with her child. The next morning, the story was everywhere. Black mother accused of kidnapping her own child while eating ice cream. Racial bias in Westdale ice cream shop incident sparks outrage. A video clip just 42 seconds long had gone viral overnight. It showed Nia standing tall, Luna holding her hand as officers questioned her. It showed the woman in sunglasses sipping her coffee as if she hadn't just set fire to someone's peace. Hashtags like #ProtectBlackMothers and #LetUsParent were trending. Strangers on social media voiced outrage. Celebrities reposted the clip. Even major news outlets picked it up. But none of the headlines, tweets, or comments could undo the look Nia had seen in Luna's eyes the moment those officers walked up. Fear. Confusion. And something Nia hadn't expected to see. Not at -1 years old. Shame. That morning, Nia and Julian sat at their kitchen table, sipping coffee. Their sleek, modern home had tall windows that let in soft light. Luna was upstairs, drawing pictures with her babysitter, trying to act like the day before never happened. Nia leaned her head on Julian's shoulder. "I'm tired," she whispered. Rubbed her back. "You shouldn't have to be strong just to exist." There was a pause. Then Julian said, "We can let it go, Nia, focus on healing. Or, we can speak." Nia lifted her head slowly. "They made our baby feel unsafe in front of the world. And they thought they were right." Julian nodded. "Then let's speak." That afternoon, Nia sat in front of a ring light in their home office. Her hair was pulled back neatly. She wore a soft cream blouse. No makeup, just honesty. She looked into the camera and pressed record. "Hi, my name is Dr. Nia Thompson. I'm a mother, a wife, and a pediatric psychologist. I've spent the last 12 years of my life helping children feel safe." She paused, swallowed. Yesterday, while sharing ice cream with my daughter, I was accused of kidnapping her by a stranger, simply because my skin and my daughter's skin aren't the same shade. Her voice cracked. She cleared her throat. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She wasn't hurt. But someone decided we didn't belong together. Nia leaned forward. I'm speaking because this isn't the first time, and if we stay silent, it won't be the last. The video reached 2 million views in 24 hours. Nia was invited onto morning shows, parenting podcasts, and university panels. People shared their own stories. Black fathers mistaken for the help, adoptive parents questioned. In airports, biracial children tugged between worlds. But even as support poured in, hate slithered through the cracks. She's just playing victim. She's doing this for attention. Maybe they were just being careful. Nia read every word, not to argue, but to understand the weight she was up against. One comment, however, caught her off guard. My daughter is mixed too? I didn't know this could happen. Thank you for telling the truth, Nia. Now I know how to protect her. It struck her. This wasn't just about her. This was about all the families who didn't look right to the world. Families made of love, not matching shades. A week later, Nia hosted a panel at Westdale Library titled When Love Doesn't Match Skin, Parenting in a Biased World. The room was packed. Every seat filled. Parents, teachers, teens, reporters. Julian sat in the front row, Luna beside him in a yellow dress, her curls tied back with a white ribbon. Nia stood at the podium. Behind her was a picture of their family, her, Julian, and Luna holding hands on the beach. She began, bias is real. It can steal joy from a moment as innocent as eating ice cream with your child. It can turn love into suspicion, but we don't fight back with rage alone. We fight back with presence, with truth, with refusal to be invisible. She paused. I don't want your pity. I want your awareness, your courage to speak when someone else is being silenced. Your willingness to unlearn what you were taught about what families should look like. The room was silent. Every word landed heavy, then bloomed in their hearts. Later that evening, Luna ran into Nia's arms. You're brave, Mommy, she said. You didn't even cry on the microphone. Nia smiled. I did a little inside, but I was thinking about you the whole time. Will people stop being mean now? Luna asked softly. Nia didn't lie. Not all of them, she said. But more people will understand, and maybe next time someone will choose kindness instead of fear. That night, Nia and Julian watched the sunset from their backyard. Luna danced around the garden, pretending to be a butterfly. Do you think it mattered? She asked Julian. Everything we did. He watched their daughter twirl. It mattered to her, he said. That's enough for now. It was a quiet Thursday afternoon when the knock came. Nia was working in her home office, finalizing notes for an upcoming webinar on childhood anxiety. Julian was at the hospital, and Luna was upstairs building a Lego castle. The knock came again. Firm, measured. Nia walked to the front door and peeked through the peephole. A woman stood there, mid-40s, neatly dressed in a navy blazer and beige slacks. Not a reporter, not a neighbor. Curious, Nia opened the door but kept the screen closed. Can I help you? The woman gave a faint smile. Dr. Nia Thompson. Yes, my name is Margaret Ellis. I saw your video about the ice cream shop. Nia's shoulders tensed. She nodded slowly. Okay. Margaret looked nervous now. I'm not here to argue. I came to apologize. Nia blinked. Margaret looked down. It wasn't me who called the police, but it could have been. A few years ago, I saw a black man walking a little white boy through a park in my neighborhood. I followed him for 3 blocks. I didn't say anything, but I thought it. That maybe the boy wasn't safe. Nia stayed silent. Margaret lifted her eyes. I didn't know what I was carrying inside me until I watched your daughter's face. The fear, the confusion, and I realized I was part of that fear, even if I never picked up the phone. The two women stood in silence, one outside the door, one within. "I'm sorry," Margaret said again, voice trembling. "I'm trying to be better. I didn't want to just post a hashtag. I wanted to show up." Something inside Nia softened, not because she trusted the woman, but because Luna might one day need someone like her to speak up. Nia unlatched the screen door. "You want to come in?" Margaret's eyes widened. "Are you sure?" Nia nodded. "We can talk. That's how change starts, right?" Margaret stepped inside. They sat at the kitchen island, sipping iced tea. Margaret explained how she'd grown up in a quiet, mostly white town where people didn't talk about race unless something exploded. How she'd inherited fear disguised as caution, suspicion wrapped in politeness. "But I'm a teacher," she said quietly. "I see more mixed families now, more black fathers walking their kids to school. And I kept thinking, what if someone followed them the way I did? What if my silence gave someone else permission to hurt them?" Nia listened, not to comfort, but to understand. "I don't want to be praised," Margaret added. "I just want to be honest, to show my students what it means to grow and own your mistakes." Nia nodded. "That's the beginning of allyship, showing up, even when you're uncomfortable." That evening, Nia shared the encounter with Julian. She came here, she said, looked me in the eye, owned her past. Julian leaned against the counter. "Do you trust her?" "I don't know," Nia admitted, "but it's not about trust. It's about what people choose to do after they learn the truth." Julian nodded slowly. "If even one person chooses better because of your story, then you've already changed the world." Over the next few weeks, small things began to shift in Westdale. The ice cream shop posted a new sign: "All families welcome." No assumptions, just smiles. The school district invited Nia to speak at a town forum on racial bias in early childhood. And the woman who'd called the police, she issued a public apology, anonymous. "But queer. I let fear guide me. I hurt a child. I'm deeply sorry." Nia didn't clap, didn't repost it, but she felt a tiny thread inside her heart loosen. One evening, while putting Luna to bed, the little girl looked up at her. "Mommy, do you think people will always be scared of us?" Nia kissed her forehead. "Some might, but some will learn, and we'll help them." Luna smiled sleepily. "Even if they don't look like us." "Especially then," Nia said. As Luna drifted to sleep, Nia sat by the window, watching the quiet street below. No flashing lights, no officers, just peace. But peace, she now knew, wasn't something you waited for. Peace was something you protected every single day. 3 weeks after the incident, Nia stood in her backyard under a cloudless sky, hands buried in the soil of her small garden. The sun was gentle on her skin, the wind quiet around her, the sound of birds, children laughing down the block, and her daughter humming from the porch gave the day a strange sense of calm. But inside, her heart was far from quiet. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Luna's face, confused, afraid, asking, "Why is that lady mad at us?" Every time someone praised her for her graceful handling of the situation, she felt a flicker of quiet anger, because it wasn't grace, it was survival. It was the strength she'd inherited from her mother and her mother's mother. Nia's mother, Geraldine, had grown up in Alabama, a nurse who raised 4 children and worked night shifts while organizing community health fairs on weekends. Geraldine had taught Nia early, "You don't get to rest until the work is done, but don't you ever let anyone make you feel like you don't belong." Nia remembered one particular day in middle school. She'd come home crying because a classmate said she was too dark to be pretty. Geraldine had sat her down, gently wiped her tears, and said, "Baby, that girl's eyes are broken. Yours see clearly, and one day they'll see you for the light you carry." That voice, steady, firm, still echoed in Nia's bones. She heard it again when the officers had asked her to step away from Luna. She heard it when Ethan called, when the cameras came, and even when the blonde woman disappeared like smoke. Now, in her own backyard, Nia whispered, "I carry your strength, Mama." Later that evening, Nia received an invitation to speak at a panel on motherhood and identity. She hesitated. The old fear returned. What if they only wanted her because she was now a story? But Julian encouraged her. You've always been more than the story. You're the storyteller. That's power. So she accepted, and when she stood on stage days later in a crowded auditorium, wearing a soft yellow dress and her curls pulled back, she wasn't just Nia Thompson, the woman from the video. She was every woman who had ever been mistaken, questioned, or diminished. She was a mother, a black woman, a child psychologist, a fighter. And when she opened her mouth, her voice did not shake. I wasn't going to talk about what happened, she began, because I didn't want it to define me. But I realized something. She paused, looking out at the audience. Already does. Not because I asked for it, but because when you're a black mother in America, people will define you before you get the chance to say your name. A few people nodded. Others looked stunned. So, I'm here not to relive that moment but to reclaim it. She then told the story, in her own words. No media spin, no fancy edits. She spoke of Luna's confusion, of the weight of holding in tears, of smiling while her heart broke. She spoke of how tiring it was to have to prove her motherhood, her love, her belonging. But she ended with something more powerful. I am not broken, I am built. I come from women who made miracles out of struggle. I am raising a daughter who will never shrink to make others comfortable. And if my voice shakes the room, let it shake loose every lie about what a mother should look like. The room rose to its feet, not because she was a victim but because she was victorious. That night, as they walked to the car, Luna held her hand and said, Mommy, you are loud like a superhero. Nia laughed. Was I too loud? Luna shook her head. No, you were just right. Julian smiled and took Nia's other hand. In that moment, the pain didn't vanish, but it made space for pride and power. Over the following months, people continued to reach out. A Latino father wrote, I've been stopped at playgrounds too. Thank you for speaking out. A Korean American mother wrote, they asked me if I was the nanny. I froze. Your story helped me find my words. And then one day Nia received a letter, handwritten, no return address. It read, Dr. Thompson, I was in the ice cream shop that day. I didn't say anything. I froze. I didn't know what to do. I just watched. You handle it all with grace and fire. I wish I had stood up. I will next time. I promise. Thank you for showing us how. Nia closed the letter and placed it in a small box she kept for Luna, a box filled with cards, photos, drawings, and letters, a box she called Proof of Truth. One day, she would give it to her daughter. Say, this is who we are. This is who we've always been. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Nia sat on the porch swing with Julian. Luna was asleep, curled in a blanket beside them. Julian looked at her. You ever think about what would have happened if you had yelled, screamed, lost control? Nia nodded. Every day. But you didn't. He said. Double quotes. No, because I couldn't afford to, she replied softly. But that doesn't mean I wasn't on fire inside. He kissed her forehead. You turned that fire into light. That's who you are. Nia leaned her head on his shoulder. And in the fading warmth of the day, she let herself finally rest. Not because the world had changed, but because she had. The weeks after the incident at the ice cream cafe were filled with noise, media interviews, community panels, school meetings, and lawyer consultations. Nia had become a symbol of strength. Even though all she ever wanted was to enjoy a quiet day with her daughter. But something had shifted, not just in her but in Luna. One evening, Nia found her daughter sitting on the floor of her bedroom, surrounded by crayons and paper. Luna was drawing people, some with dark skin like hers, others light like her own. In the middle of the page was a tall, smiling woman holding a little girl's hand. Who's that? Nia asked. Kneeling beside her. Luna looked up. That's me and you. I wanted everyone to know we're the same, even if our colors don't match. Nia's throat tightened. She wrapped her arms around Luna and held her close, burying her face in her daughter's curls. There were no perfect words for moments like this, only love, only presence. "Baby," she whispered, "we are more than what people see. You and I, we're soul deep. That's what matters." A month later, Nia received an invitation to speak at a community healing event titled "Seen and Believed: The Reality of Mixed Families." She hesitated at first, unsure if she wanted to relive everything again in front of strangers. But then she remembered Maya, and every child like her, and every mother like herself who had been questioned, stared at, or made to feel small. So she stood on that stage in front of a crowd of hundreds. Her voice, once shaky, was now strong and steady. She told the truth, not just about the ice cream shop, but about the accumulation of pain over the years, being mistaken for the nanny, having her expertise questioned, being followed in stores, the silent erasures that had no words but still wounded like knives. "I am my daughter's mother, not because a piece of paper says so, but because I carried her, fought for her, loved her, and I continue to show up for her every single day." The room was silent. No one moved. Some people cried quietly, others nodded in deep understanding. And when she finished speaking, Luna ran up on stage and held her mother's hand. "Mommy is my hero," she announced. The audience erupted in applause. Not long after, the city council passed a new resolution, a community education initiative to train first responders on recognizing unconscious bias. The bill was nicknamed Luna's Law. The woman who had called the police that day, she never apologized. She vanished into the background, her name never mentioned again. But Nia didn't need her apology anymore. She had something better. She had clarity, purpose, a platform. And most importantly, she had her daughter who knew she was deeply loved and beautifully made. One sunny afternoon, Nia, Ethan, and Luna sat together on a park bench. The same park where strangers once glanced too long now felt warmer, safer. Luna licked her chocolate cone and looked up. "Mommy, do you think people will stop being mean someday?" Nia smiled. "Maybe not all of them, but you know what? We're planting seeds, little by little, and one day they'll bloom." Ethan reached over and gently squeezed Nia's hand. "Every time we tell the truth," he said, "we make the world a little better." And under that soft golden sky, surrounded by laughter and love, Nia felt something she hadn't in a long time. Peace. Because she knew, despite the stares, the questions, the headlines, she had won something bigger than any courtroom battle. She had reclaimed her story and written it with strength, dignity, and a mother's unshakable love.